I did some random shopping and I picked up a doll from Jack's Pacific. And they usually make superheroes, but they also made some Barbies during some times, or like Barbies, so I'm very curious and I wanted one. I'm not going to start collecting them, but the detail made me interested. So I ordered one, and I'm interested to see what she feels like, what she's like, what they make her out of. I think their faces are pretty when you look at them straight on. I don't like when you pull the hair back and you see the squareness of the head. They sent me this dress. They told me they were going to send me a free dress. This is actually handmade, which I didn't expect. It's not on a machine. It's sewn. And her hair is real long, which is another feature that I liked a lot with this doll. She sticks out her stomach a lot because she's trying to stand so curved. And that I don't like. That was kind of hard to make a pattern for. In fact, I'm going to show you how I make the pattern. You can see a rib cage. You can see details on her arms, the muscles, the kink in her back. You can see thigh muscles. You can see, of course, the neck muscles. Her hair is rooted really nice. It's parted on the side. There's a lot of it. It's not cheaply done at all. So I like the little line around the mouth there too. I think that was a really nice detail to throw in. I wish her eyes were more realistic though. That would have really topped it all off. Her hair is soft. It seems like it's the same kind of hair they make some Barbies out of, most Barbies out of. So she is 12 inches and Barbie is 11. She does bend. Her arms click twice, but the last one really doesn't want to hold. It snaps back real quickly when I push it. The legs also bend. The thing that's sad about her is that you can't bend her to sit. So she can only stand. I do like how her back has the nice shoulder blades showing. Those kind of details are great. And just the covering of the joints, not showing the joints. Her skin feels like the giant Barbie too. The giant Barbie's made out of this very rubbery skin that gets dirty real easy. So if you're touching anything or have any dirt on your table, it's on that doll so quick. And that's what I have with her. Her fingers are separated and they're soft. So you can manipulate the fingers really well. So if I want her to hold certain things, I'm going to be able to do that. I think that's going to be a plus. I hope they don't get out of shape eventually and start turning wacky ways or hanging weird. She has rotation at the shoulder and her legs, but she can't bend at the waist, which I find really strange that they wouldn't have made sure that ability was there. But overall, I'm really happy I purchased her. I also picked up one mini fashion ball from Series 2. Of course, our store doesn't have Series 3 yet because we're the shore. So I got I got lucky in the beginning with fashion balls, the second series, and I got all the rare stuff first. Now I'm just trying to get the regular bags, and I seem to get a lot of doubles. In particular, that velvet pink purse that I really don't like. And I've got a couple of the shoe purses, and I ended up not liking those. I thought I wanted those at first, but I don't want any more. The brush is cool because it's smaller, more a size that Barbie would hold her hand and use than what Mattel gives you. And I got the stupid scarf again, which, yeah. I guess I'll have to start to learn to use these somehow for something in my dioramas or on outfits, but I have to make a whole outfit to go with it. So the purse I got is different. I'm glad. It's like an alligator skin. I really don't know what to do with this chain though. It appears to be in the way of opening the purse, which doesn't seem practical, and I don't see, I guess I've done something wrong, or there's got to be a way to fix this. push it over completely around the purse. I don't know. I'm probably going to end up just clipping that off because I don't particularly like them anyway. I don't want the Miniverse initials all over my stuff. I also got the barbecue set for Barbie's barbecue. And I had the napkin before, but I didn't have the spatulas and the knife and the rolling pin. So now I have the whole set. And I want to compare her. This is Stacy to my new Barbie, which I have not named. And you can see how much bigger they are. And bigger, like bigger face, bigger. Not just taller, but bigger. But Barbie still, when I look at the two together, she's still my favorite. I do love her, just the way she is. But I'm glad I got one of these dolls. She is considerably bigger than Barbie. But when I ended up putting her next to Giant Barbie, she's not as big as I thought she was. Giant Barbie is really huge. Oh. I also picked up Candyland from World's Smallest. And you could easily make your own Candyland board. But what you can't make easily are the little people. That's what I got it for, was the game figures. And thank God the other two came inside, because I only saw two on the outside, and I'm thinking, oh, I hope they didn't only give us two. The board itself, when you first get it, you have to slide it out, and then your case will close, and you can fold the board and put it inside your case. Along with the cards and the little people, everything fits in the case really nicely. Little disappointing was the board because it's not exactly like the one from childhood. The little bridge that was right here is missing. And the cards that have the candies on them are not the same. Now the gumdrops there, or the whatever those are, those I remember being on the first board. But it's changed. It's not the same as what you grew up with in childhood. And the candy cards, there's 43 of these cards that you have to punch out, each individual card, which this took a minute to do. But there's only 4 cards of the candy. There's only 4 candy stops on this little board. So those kind of things were disappointing to me. I wanted to see it exactly like childhood, but this was worth it all. These little game figures I would never be able to make myself. It would just be way too hard. I wouldn't want to even get into it. And I'd probably have to make them out of some kind of chipboard to be able to cut around all that. I could never cut that in wood. I guess maybe, but I don't know. I'm just glad to have them already made. And I think they look great. They look very much like the original. So everything will just fit back into the box nicely. All right, so here's my pattern making. I saw a couple things on YouTube about making patterns and wrapping your doll in tissue paper first, all the way around where you want your dress to be, and then covering it with tape to make like a casket. And then you can take the casket, cut it up, and make your pieces for your pattern. So for me in the past, I have had to do so much trial and error to make the patterns. Like when I made the pattern for Giant Barbie, oh, that was so much work. So instead of drawing it and trying to figure it out myself, I'm going to try this casket method and let you know how it works out. The only problem is, without anyone's guidance, I am afraid I'm going to cut it up wrong. That's where I'm sure I'm going to make my mistake. So I started out with, you can use masking tape. I used painter's tape because I didn't have any masking tape, and I've got tons of painter's tape. So I just started putting pieces on, a few pieces at a time. So you try and keep it tight. I made one mistake. I didn't keep it tight enough. So the dress wasn't as form-fitting in the waist as I wanted it to be. But it's pretty close. But you can feel the difference in there when you hold her around the waist, that there's air in there. There's something still getting in because of the way they curve her. They make her stick out, basically her stomach, sort of. Then after you get it all wrapped, you're going to draw around the arms so that when you cut it off, you're going to cut it up the middle and take it off. You want to know where to cut. So this is good for me because I always have problems with arms in everything I make. So I'm drawing that around, and then you've got to draw the front, the V-neck. I want a V-neck, and eventually I'm going to draw a line all the way down the middle. And then you do the same thing. After you do it down the front, you also do it on the back. I drew additional ones on the side, and I don't know why I drew it on both halves, because you only need one half to make, and you should only use one half to make your pattern to make sure it's symmetrical. Same on each side. So I'm going to start out just by cutting right down the middle on the front of the Barbie. I'm so afraid that I'm going to hurt her skin. I don't want to mess up her skin because it's not plastic at all. It's very rubbery. So I'm cutting right up my center line. And I'm going to just cut right up because I can cut the V out later, but it's easier just to get it off. I want to get it off of her so I can do the rest of the cutting easily and not do it on her. I'm afraid of damaging her. So now I'm cutting up the back too. So basically I'm cutting this in half and taking half of it off before I cut out the details. That's where I think I did something wrong though. I think I made a mistake at the armholes. At least with the way I drew the pattern, for sure. Because I had to alter this more than I should have. This should have been so simple. So you can see it comes off just like a casket. I decided to cut it off around the knees because I'm going to flare the skirt out at the bottom. I don't want it to be skin tight all the way down. So I'm cutting on my lines. And this is where I think I'm screwing up here. But I know this needs to go up to the shoulder. And I have a feeling, I don't know, I can't figure it out. I really had to do a lot more clipping after I cut the pieces out. When I started to sew them together and try them back on the doll, I saw that I'd done something wrong. I definitely did something wrong. I should have cut right down the top of the shoulder first before I start cutting the side panels. So I would recommend doing that if you use this method. Now you take your pieces that you've cut out of the casket and you trace them onto paper. So this gives you your pattern. But I had to add the flare at the bottom. So after I drew this piece on, I had to bring the doll back to see where her knees were. And then I just hand sketched out the triangle. And I made sure that I started it the same height on all the other pattern pieces. So I'm just checking it. This is the front. And, okay, so I'm laying the doll down, lining it back up with the pattern, and starting at her knee, and just drawing and flaring out the pattern at the bottom. So you can see the triangle that I'm making. Now, the mistake I made here, which I found out later after I went to cut them, was I shouldn't have flared out the other side because this is center. This is the front center, and that's going to be on the fold. So you would not have that other piece going out that way. It would just go straight down. And this is really where I think I made the biggest mistake, was how I drew my seam allowance here. Something is just not right there. Because in the end, these did not go together the way they should, and I had to do a lot of manipulation, which is why I'm not even going to show you sewing it, because I also had a lot of trouble with my sewing machine, kept knotting up on me, so I couldn't do a good tutorial on how to sew these together, but at least you can see how to make your own pattern, which is great. So I fold the material over. This is the back piece, so you need two. And if you had my material's the same on both sides. If it was different, That's why you fold it over. So when you put it on, you're going to have the pieces on the good side facing two directions, the opposite two. These are my Guggenheim scissors. I'm showing them off. For cutting patterns after I pin it down, I just cut the chunk out first. I don't try and get the details while it's connected to the whole piece. So I cut out that chunk and then I start going along cutting. And normally I would just lay this on the table and cut it, but the way my camera's in front of me, it's too hard to do. So I cut it in the air to record it, but I'm not going to bore you with the whole process of cutting out all these pieces. This is where I discovered that I made the mistake with the front piece, because you have to put it on the fold. So I just folded it back simply and cut the piece out that way, and it worked out. So here's Giant Barbie, 13-incher, my first Barbie, and here is the Jack's Pacific Barbie next to her. So she is still considerably smaller than Giant Barbie. Giant Barbie is just awkwardly big. But I'm glad I have one again. And here we are trying to compare her to another twist and turn Barbie. So she is considerably bigger than all Barbies, just not as big as Giant Barbie. Yep, just that 1-inch difference, and I think the difference in size of face as well. But what a lovely face she does have, but still, when you look at my TNT Barbie, she's just got such a beautiful look to her face. Love my Barbies. They're still my favorite. And here she is enjoying herself in her gown. You can see I added that black belt with a piece of jewelry that I just glued on the front to make it look like a buckle. But in the end, it worked out. It'll do for now. At least I have her dressed in a Christmas dress now that I've got the house decorated for Christmas. And that's it.